What's your take on social media for the entrepreneurs or the people that you like to help the most?
Biggest reason why we need to get on social media as entrepreneurs, as founders, is the landscape is changing. The attention economy is the new economy, and attention audience is the new currency. Money gets printed, you know?
Yeah.
And you don't want to be in a situation 5 years down the line where you're realizing that getting on social media is something now that you need to do to stay alive.
Yeah.
And it might be too late now.
Yeah.
It's
okay, so this might be a limiting belief. I feel like it's too late on Instagram. So when did this change? Are there things working better than others now? And just to be clear, like I'm happy focusing on the entrepreneur. There are a lot of business owner friends that I have. They own these managed service providers. That's probably $6 million to $10 million. Normally it's like a product founder and a sales guy, real lean operation. They want to do sales. Is there some boats that they missed? Like I think if they started their Instagram page today, they're probably ages behind, and I don't even know if it would grow at this point.
No, it absolutely would. It absolutely would grow. But what has changed is you are not going to get the results that you expect by showing up to social media, selling your product. That's not how you grow. Building a narrative, creating a world around it, or building an audience that's vend with your ICP. That's another thing that a lot of people get confused is they think that their audience is their ICP.
Yeah, that's good.
And that's a big mistake.
Yeah. How do you unpack that? I think I know what you mean. I've heard it referred to as like there is an ICP in your audience, but not everyone in your audience is bigger than that. You know, like for me, there would be aspirational founders that maybe aren't above the $1 million floor yet. I can't do a lot for them, but then there's a tight little ICP within that consumes the content. So how do you explain that when someone first sits down and says, all right, where do we start? What do we do?
That requires an audit of the. That requires an audit of the industry that the person's in and what they're doing. But the one thing that I wouldn't say is don't use social media, don't use Instagram, don't use TikTok, and don't use YouTube. YouTube is the biggest thing for B2B right now, and it's super untapped. Don't use that as like an ad channel. A lot of people show up. We're showing up on Instagram, and we're hitting record, and we're posting a bunch of reels. It's like trying to add value, like we think that we're on LinkedIn, and that's not going to hit because we're not showing up on those social media platforms to learn. We're showing up to entertain and follow people, not tips and tricks.
Yeah, I see that a lot on the very small business, like fence builders, plumbers. You know, I can tell they're tiptoeing in the content, and then at the end of every video, it's like, and if you need a fence built in St. Tammany Parish, come to me. You know, like 504-644, and they give the rest of their number. Well, I do want to. So,
well, I gotta say, it's a really cool thing that you did there, because that's like the commercials that we grew up watching when we were kids on like local access TV, right?
Yeah,
that's a content type. If you do it seriously, like if you really have like an uncle and he makes fences and he lives in Indiana or something like that, and you get him on social media and you've got him cosplaying like a 1980s guy on public access TV.
Yeah,
that's gonna cook so well. So I think, the magic's really in like doing something a little different, breaking the attention, any sort of a pattern interrupt, and building an audience through through entertainment or anything that just sets yourself apart.
Yeah.
What doesn't work anymore is just like whatever you're doing on LinkedIn. And honestly, I tell people this all the time, whatever you're doing on LinkedIn also doesn't work anymore. Everyone's trying to sound too smart. Everyone's trying to be an expert.
I have a couple of things there. So it appears to me, I'm by no means a social media expert, but I've been consuming your content the last few days in the feed. It appears to me you're doing things differently and intentionally differently. So what is some of that? Like you did the one, there was a car and like a larger truck had like come on top of it, and you're like, this isn't AI. What would you do? And if you notice, like there's not a long text there. There's not a takeaway lesson. And what I learned about XYZ was, what would you say? Are you just having fun at this point? Are you dialing in for data? Are you trying to figure out what's a pattern interrupt? Like, what is your current approach or tactics that you're leaning into right now?
That was a post that sometimes I look at my weekly impressions and I just want to see that number go up. So I just use like an old trick from the book, and I'm like, okay, I just want to get like 40K real quick just to boost it. And that's what I did. So it's a little bit of a test. That was a really cool one. I'm in a couple LinkedIn groups, and I dropped a breakdown on why that worked in those groups. And I was stacking hooks.
Okay.
So I was
like visual and text.
I stole something. I stole something that was proven viral, because that was something that was viral on another part of the internet. So I took that. That's one hook. That's one for sure thing. And then the next one was, I took something that was a current event, something really topical. It's new, so it's trending just overall.
The AI?
Yeah. Well, that was something else. It's new. It was something that happened that day, right?
Okay.
Like a truck drove over a Lamborghini in a Crunch Fitness parking lot. Also, in a Crunch Fitness parking lot, to see a Lambo get crunched by a truck, it's just so you can't. The jokes write themselves.
That is funny.
So
I didn't know it was a Crunch Fitness parking lot.
Aspirational content, of course. You've got a picture of a Lamborghini. That's money. That does get views. And then you have the huge curiosity gap of like, there's a truck on top of a Lamborghini. Like, I want to find out more. And then using the word AI in the first 5 letters of the post.
Yeah.
That helps get on the algorithm search. And then in the post, I threw something in there that would rage bait, hopefully about half of the viewers. And then I asked one question. Like, I didn't stack CTAs. Like, what would you do? Who thinks it fall? What would you do if it happened to you? Which car would you drive? Like, really try to keep it as one, to kind of feed the audience that's reading it, force in their mind a reason for them to have an opinion and a comment.
Yeah.
Got like 200 comments or something like that.
I'd have to go back and look, but yeah, well, yeah, I mean, I guess for me immediately, I pay attention to things that stop the scroll. So I was like, okay. And I try to ask myself, why did it stop my scroll just now? Is it the way he laid it out? Was it the size of the image? Was it the truck? Was it the uncanny choice of words that he used?
Hopefully all of it, right?
Yeah, for sure. Well, what I always appreciate, I'm not a content pro, but on one capacity or another, I've been recording and putting out content the last 2 years. I've probably done 500 shorts, verticals in a few different niches. I got really good at lighting, the cameras. I'm a big fan of that now.
You look great.
I got really good at hooks. I appreciate that. This is the conference room at the co-work space that I work at. So I started to get into, so what I'm getting at is what you're saying is very sophisticated. And I don't know if all of my audience will understand how sophisticated it was, the way you thought through that and then attacked it tactically. I would still come back, if I talk to that entrepreneur who owns the $10 million company, is there something clean and crisp where he would say, well, so what, Colin? Is that going to get me 7 new deals? Does that increase my pipeline for me? Am I going to make more money? What is your response to that in general? Do you say it doesn't matter? You're thinking about this wrong, or like that's the wrong question?
I love that question. Because there's some people that LinkedIn, for example, some people absolutely cooking, talking about, I call it pancakes versus waffles content, right? It gets people's attention, it gets engagement, it's fluffy content, it doesn't provide any value. And they're posting about how much they're cooking and growing their audience and getting all these impressions, stuff like that. And you've got a lot of people that have actual value and actual skills, like CEOs and people with businesses and people with arguably things to lose. Every morning they're waking up and they're like, should I post about football, right? Like, what should I do? Like, there's this temptation just to get views, and there's a whole nother camp that's saying you don't want to go viral. Stop wasting time on going viral. And I think that's cope. That's people that are scared of trying and failing, because you want to go viral. You want to get your reach as far as possible, but not just go viral. That's only going to get you one thing. So yes, you want to do something that's silly that gets you a ton of impressions, like a Lamborghini getting crushed by a truck or something. But then what are you doing with that attention that you're getting? Do Do you have a system set up where that attention is funneled to something valuable? Or at the very least, are you going to follow up right after that, after you've got that extra engagement, after you've got that extra profile traffic on your system, and then drop something with value? Not a CTA, not a, hey, sign up for my workshop, but something behind it that shows I'm an expert in my craft. Here's some value. Here's a gift. Here's a deposit for my audience. Now that you guys have gotten hooked with the car and then AI and then something in Texas, like what do I sell? Maybe I'm a broker for luxury vehicles for CEOs that are really busy and they want to get something that's, like a Section 179 for the 310 tax write-off, but they're busy. And I'm like, dude, I can get you a G-Wagon. I can get you an Escalade. I'll get it delivered to your house and I'll get you a really good deal. Or maybe I do something with AI. So right after that post that gets me a ton of engagement, a ton of traffic, I'm going to drop something with 10 tips. I'm going to show you how to save 75% on your tokens on Claude by using caveman rules.
I want to come back. I had a useful thought, but then I also remembered you did a little rage bait. It's rage bait for me. I don't know if I'm your target demographic or not. You had a G-Wagon and an Escalade right next to each other.
You're an Escalade guy?
Oh no, I'm friggin' G-Wagons all day.
Absolutely.
And you said something like, why would you buy the one on the left, same price as the one on the right? And again, a couple thoughts in my head. I was like, he didn't use the word G-Wagon or Escalade, so he's not trying to like keyword cruise. So again, I understood you're sophisticated enough to know that even the things that the algorithm picks up on camera, it will serve appropriately. Like if you're wearing a Bama shirt, it'll serve to people in Alabama. I didn't react on that one because I was like, no, I can't have Colin's experiments keep going down my feed. Like I got to stay focused on these CROs and CFOs. But then tell me about that. What were you doing there? Because that was I don't mean to like say you're any particular person's bucket, but that's sort of like Gary V's kind of like jab, 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 jab. And then you're just waiting for like, well, where's the hook? When's the hook? Like the hook as in here's my call to action or here's what I want. What were you trying to do? Are you still just trying to feel people out? Are you trying to set them up for something? Or is that just figuring out who likes G-Wagons over Escalades?
I'm doing a lot of audience segmentation. I'm feeling out if there is an audience there to engage with on more car content because it's something that I have just unlimited knowledge of. So if I can lean into that content pillar for top of funnel content, that would be something that's really easy for me. But yeah, most of the time I'm just running tests because
how did it work?
I can run tests on my account and I can take that data and I can use it for more informed decisions later for myself when I have a higher brand value, and I can also give it to my clients too.
How did it perform? Because if you tell me G-Wagon performed, I'm about to start lacing that in.
That post didn't perform as well as the Lambo one. It was also, you do something that works. This is another thing. It's everyone, they'll do something that works. They'll do a viral post, right? And they're like, wow, that was so cool. And then they hop online like, what's my next viral post? How am I going to get more views, right? Dude, you have one right there. Rework that until it's dead. Squeeze that lemon until there's no juice left coming out. If you had a viral post,
that's so good.
If you had a viral post that involved just, the Lambo getting crushed by a truck, right? Let's start experimenting. Let's start talking about other luxury cars.
Yeah. One day there's a hook I have that always works, and I got tired of using it. It's talking about how most of your employees are lazy, and the hook always went, your employees love it when the business isn't making money. And then I would just go into a quick little story. And it was polarizing, and I would get, and the people that are managing were like, yeah, and then the employees were like, this guy's a whatever. It works so good, but then I was just like, man, I've used it. And I'm telling this story because one day I was paying attention to Alex Hormozy's YouTube shorts. And again, I know for every CFO, CRO out there, you might not care about some of this, but you should take some notes. Alex Hormozy has a story about two mints, and I don't know if you've ever seen it, but the gist of it is a restaurant ran an experiment where the waitress came through and gave the check and said thanks, got X tip, and then she gave the next time they gave a check and 1 mint, they got like 10% more. But what doubled the tip percentage was when the waitress would show up to the table and then walk away and then say, oh, hang on a second. And she'd put 2 mints on the thing. And they found it was like the walk away and the come back. Like, oh, hey, put these mints on there. But he kept retelling the story and then putting different visuals on it. And if you go on his feed now, you'll find it recurring. And I was like, oh, so you do have permission, if you guys need it, to like say the same thing over and over again. So I just started leaning in. I had this list of, I would sit down and do a bunch of verticals, and I could film like 30 in 1 hour. And I would just run through this list of 30 hooks that I had. And I would, me and an editor that was working for me, we just crank them out, and every month I'd put them out there. So, but I still, that was a content, to me, the ancillary benefits were I got better at video. Ultimately, it led to something like a podcast like this. It made me better at marketing for some of the business owners that I've helped out here locally. So I know why it helped me, but if someone tells you, Colin, I don't need to be on TikTok, or I don't need to be on Instagram, I know you can fast forward and say, all right, well, you don't want to be a dinosaur trying to sell to a dinosaur, but like, do you still bring them back to some carnal need and just say, listen, you are losing X, Y, Z if you just don't get in there and start trying to learn this some?
You just encapsulated it perfectly, because if you never got one lead from this whole process of posting your short form content, editing it, getting it out there, starting your podcast, all of these things, you just learned a new skill. And that skill that you have is going to live beyond TikTok, it's going to live beyond Instagram, it's going to live beyond LinkedIn, whatever the next LinkedIn is, whatever the next ad channel is, you're now a creator. And those skills translate across everything. You get booked as a keynote speaker, you get that really big interview sometime, or it becomes a situation where now it's a must, it's a necessity to get on video and then start selling things. You're already leaps and bounds ahead of everyone else because you're an actor already. You're a content creator. You know the system. You've learned the skills. That's super valuable.
That's a good point. You're making me think out loud as you talk through this, but I was in a business networking group. Everyone paid to be in there. And I was like, post a little 30-second video introduction of yourself. And everyone was doing these janky videos. And I still did mine back of phone. I didn't want to look like a tryhard, but I knew what was behind me. I knew what I was framing. I made sure the lake was on like the little rule of thirds, and a palm tree was behind me, even though I'm in freaking Mandeville, Louisiana. There's only so many palm trees, but I knew that one was there. And, I knew where the sunlight was. And so I guess my point is like, it looked very casual, right? But none of that was accidental. Like that stuff is, I freaking know now. Okay, so entrepreneurs kind of make sense to me. I feel like some CEOs push back and say, that's not me, that's not my job. Like, do you have any, do you overcome those objections at all?
Yeah, I have objections for that, for sure. People say it's not me, it's not my job. That's like an artist saying that going and actually hanging out my artwork in the gallery is not my job. Doing my taxes isn't my job. Doing invoices isn't my job. It's part of your job. It's just not the part of job that you want to do. And you can get by. You can be successful not doing those things, but you're leaving money on the table. So if you're ever sitting there at your desk and you're like, how do I become more profitable? And you're ignoring the things that you're not doing at all, and then trying to find out new things that you can add, and ignoring, like an artist, doing your taxes, doing the invoices, doing the boring stuff. You're just like, how can I paint better? You're probably gonna get better ROI being a full-rounded person. And you can look at some of the biggest companies in the world right now that have CEOs that are front-facing. The new companies, not the Microsofts, the NVIDIAs.
Yeah, I was with Rubrik. They were 700 million, and they IPO'd at like 1.2, and I forget what 1.2 billion. I forget what they're at now. But one thing they did distinctly, the CEO's name is Bipul. He's a charming looking, kind of round Indian guy. I don't mean that disparagingly in any way. He had these square glasses. They made him a caricature. They made him a brand. They put him everywhere. And then when he was on Mad Money with Jim Cramer or CNBC, and when he's ringing the bell, it's like he looked like the content that they had made him, and it became part of the story. And I don't know. I'm not an economics professional. Like, did that make the stock perform 30% better? Who knows? But like, did it help the story? 100%. He was memorable. People knew him. He became a small household name for a minute.
I think it made the stock perform better 100% because
I think so.
There was more trust in the company.
Yeah.
And people put money where trust is. And parasocial relationships build trust, and parasocial relationships are built with seeing someone's face, hearing them talk, knowing what their cat's name is. All of this silly shit that people that make a lot of money that are on LinkedIn or on social media, they're like, no one wants to know what I had for lunch. And I'm like, they do want to know what you had for lunch because they want to write you a check for $85,000.
That's right. That's right. There's do you want to explain parasocial real quick? How would you unpack that to someone who doesn't know what it means?
A parasocial relationship is a one-way relationship. So I know you, you don't know me. If I saw, you know, Kris Jenner on the street, Kim Kardashian's mom, I would feel like I could go up and say hi.
Yeah.
Because I've seen her face and I'm not a Kardashian fan. That's why I used her as an example, because I'm not even a fan of the Kardashian ecosystem. But if I saw Kris Jenner in real life, I would feel like I knew her enough to wave or say hello. She wouldn't be a stranger on the street. But if I walked up to her, she'd be like, literally, who is this absolute stranger? That's not a piece of memory in my mind. I like to use
100%.
I like to use like the borrow the phone test. So if you're just like sitting outside a coffee shop on like Rainy Street or something, and some like random dude comes up, he's like, hey, can I borrow your phone for a second? Someone just stole mine. Are you gonna give me your phone?
No.
What about Keanu Reeves?
Yeah, 100%. That's so funny.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Yeah.
And not because Dwayne The Rock Johnson's rich. Like, let's say Allen Iverson, for example, because Allen Iverson
I'm tracking.
famously broke, right? Like, Allen Iverson comes up like, hey, can I borrow your phone? Like, more likely, maybe yes, maybe no, but at least you're going to ask yourself the question more likely than random dude on the street.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting that.
It's a one-way relationship.
I try to explain to people that it's like they come up to you and like I'm a big fan of Plasencia cigars. It's just a cigar brand. People come up to me and they'll like talk to me how good that brand is, you know. So it's like they're instantly, they feel like they have some rapport with you that you've never even met the person before, but you're midway conversation, you know. It's like they've done all this selling for themselves. I would like on some level if we could equip someone. I know every account needs an account audit, and well, actually, I'm so sorry. Let's do tell the audience who you are, who you like to serve, and how you like to serve them. And then I kind of want to unpack some of the suggestions that you have for any entrepreneur that's trying to grow a business or get a presence on social media. Yeah,
sure. So my name is Colin Stewart-Perreault. My goal is to turn people's personal brand into celebrity. That's what I do. And when people hear celebrity, they think, gosh, I don't want to be famous. And it's like, fame's on a spectrum, right? You can be famous at your coffee shop where you walk in, they know your order, they say, hi, Chad. That's fame at a very small level. So if you say you don't want that with your business, then we got to have a different conversation, right? So
yeah, for sure.
That's what I'm doing here.
Yeah, I think people previously called it like mind share. I think they still say mind share, but it's like you also mentioned earlier to like own a certain category or a certain thing, you know. And I'm actually, when I went into this podcast, I'm trying to own RevOps. Nobody was doing it. There was no clear voice in there. I've been back to back with guests now, and I was like, oh, because I've done this long enough, I saw the fit right away. I said, I'm going to own that key. I'm just going to own it. When you think RevOps, you're going to think Chad T. So very clear goal. I still think let's stick with the solopreneur. Where would you start? Is there anything you would say, don't do this, like stay away from this? And then I do want to see if you could give someone maybe some easy ways to get in before they were to bring you in and say, hey, just lean into this, try doing these things on this platform and for this reason. Like, where do you start someone? What are the baby steps for them?
Oh yeah, if someone's a solopreneur, their main lead channels are LinkedIn, and they might have an email list. They have a website they paid someone a bunch of money to make. They're trying to most likely drive traffic to the website, but realistically, their lead channel is LinkedIn. Their conversion channel is LinkedIn. They're putting all their energy there. If I were just giving someone like an elevator talk or at the coffee shop, and they're like, hey, how do I grow my brand? I'm not going to give them super high level things, but what I would tell them is you are likely showing up on LinkedIn as your primary channel, which scares me because you're renting attention, right? If LinkedIn were deleted tomorrow, I think a lot of people that have 7-8 figure businesses would get a really big hit in their revenue, and they wouldn't know how to climb back up from that. So I would plant that seed and say, you need to start thinking really seriously about how you can own your audience and how you can diversify. But if we're just talking about LinkedIn, you're probably showing up as an expert, and you're scared to show up as yourself. I want to see you show up as yourself, so people know you, so people like you, and then give them content that makes them trust you. And then repeat that cycle over and over again until it gets to the point where they like you, they trust you, and they want to talk to you. And then when they talk to you, ask them if you can help.
That's good. It's elegant but powerful. Do you like LinkedIn less than other platforms? Do you have a preference right now as to which platform you want people on?
I've been using social media strategically for like over a decade, and I've grown with all of the platforms. And in my previous roles, I've worked on social media at a really large scale, like a lot of accounts, a lot of data, a lot of experimenting. And I like LinkedIn. LinkedIn's my favorite platform because people are going to really hate hearing this, but LinkedIn is the easiest social media platform to grow on, hands down, on the internet ever.
I think it is. Yeah.
It's like Instagram in 2018.
Yeah.
It is so simple. It's like how people really like old cars because they're simple and there's just a couple buttons and it's easy to understand. That's what LinkedIn's like. It's like it only has like four layers. Well, all the meta stuff has like 20. So my favorite platform for that because it's kind of relaxing for me to like break it down and hack the audience and the timeline because it's fun. It's really easy to.
Well, I've heard people say it's social media on easy mode, and I remember I've caught a couple waves, and I remember I was on that surfing analogy. If you've ever like been on a wave and then just biffed it right there, like gotten off the board and like you just missed that wave. I was putting in a different niche these little crappy YouTube shorts out, and I would get 12 new followers every short. And that's mind blowing. But because that was just me, what's that?
On what platform?
YouTube Shorts.
Oh yeah.
But my point is that doesn't happen anymore. You know, so that was like 2019 when like everyone was pushing the vertical, and I watched people build brands in that same area, and they blew up. Which doesn't mean they're less talented, and a lot of these people deserve it. But I'm conscious now of these certain waves that I've missed. And so I was recently turned on to using LinkedIn differently. Like I'm kind of guilty of I've had LinkedIn since before I can remember really, but to me it was you put your promotions on there, and anytime you got a job change, you put that on there. And then like if you did a cool trip with your sales colleagues, you'd put a picture of like your Vegas sales kickoff. And then so your sister gave me a tip on something when I did an interview with her, and I just started doing it and doubled my following in 4 weeks. Like that's mind blowing. And it's not a lot, but I went from like 700 to 1,400. You can't do that on any other platform that I know of still in less than 30 days time with LinkedIn promoting it. Like LinkedIn shows me the things that they want me to click and connect with, and I've just been like, man, I'm just going to cruise through your algorithm and smash this button until you tell me not to, and then LinkedIn tells me not to when they're done with me doing it, and then I just start again on Monday. So I don't see a place where it's been easier for business-minded people in a business already context and setting to just start reaching the market, and I think more news is getting out some. Like by the time I start learning about it, we're probably 80% through the curve, you know? So I'm glad that you said
ahead of the curve than most. Come on.
Okay, I'll take this straight to the bank. There is a flywheel to everything, and I recognize I'm only 30 days into the flywheel. So I've seen a flywheel after like 6 months. So this thing's going to rip. You know, I don't know. I just know that it's just about checking and doing the right things. I thought for a second maybe it was your banner, and you're welcome to course correct me. I think I saw an Instagram, TikTok, and an email logo on your banner. So I didn't know if you were like hey, you guys are wasting your time on LinkedIn. You should try other things. But it sounds like you just said LinkedIn's where you want to stick an entrepreneur first. Do you put them anywhere else also?
Absolutely. Like I said, LinkedIn is realistically most people's lead discovery channel and their conversion channel, right? That's where they find their clients. That's where they make their sales. That's where they put a lot of money. I use like a restaurant analogy. So if you have a restaurant and you cook the food in the kitchen, you serve the people in the restaurant. If you just focus on those two things, like you'll make money at your restaurant, right? But is that how you win?
You got a restaurant, cooking the food in the back, serving the food in the restaurant, but that's probably not the maximum capacity of your restaurant, right? I think you're about to unload some depth to that. So what do you mean by that?
That's the difference between running a restaurant and running a business. And I think that we're all here to run a business. So how are we getting new customers into the door? How are we making when the customers leave, they want to come back? How are we expanding to the point where maybe we can franchise that restaurant? Or are we just focusing on how we can optimize the menu and maximize the revenue from the people that walk in the door passively?
Yeah.
Or at the very least, like, what are they doing? Just put a bigger sign. Like, let's think about this a little bit bigger. Like, we're smart people. There's really smart people on social media or on LinkedIn. There's really smart CEOs, and they're just kind of ignoring this. And I think that it has to do with a lot of fear of failure, or they just want to cope. Yeah, cope because they don't want to try. Mean thing to say, but like.
No, yeah, I didn't get to circle back to the cope comment earlier. There is this trend of like, oh, you don't want to go viral. And I think that person, if that person is doing good-hearted coaching, what they mean is you don't want to chase the wrong metrics, but for sure you want your content to be distributed. Like, let's be clear, you need people to see it. You mentioned something earlier that I think people are going to miss, but you said, if like you blink and your LinkedIn's gone, how would you ever rebuild it? You don't own that audience. And that's true for a lot of social media. So dig a little deeper in there. So how are you telling the entrepreneur now, this is how, in like the restaurant too, this is how you own, this is a business now versus you just took a little 5 minutes of fame and got a bunch of LinkedIn impressions?
Well, a great thing about that is when you were talking about doing your short form video, Hormozy style, batch recording, switching over to the podcast, and over the past 2 years, you turned into a content creator. You have that skill set. If your channel, if all of our channels were deleted tomorrow, in 6 months, you would be so much further ahead of everyone that's beating you right now because you have the skills, right? It's like the guy that built his own house for the guy that bought a house, right? Like if the house disappeared, you'd be housed faster than he was. So that's a skill that travels with you on whatever you're doing. So if LinkedIn got destroyed tomorrow and we all had to start from zero, you're going to come out on top, right? Now, for channel diversification, if LinkedIn got destroyed tomorrow and you had a YouTube that was good with a different audience. You didn't just take your LinkedIn audience of 10,000 people and say, hey, let me get 2,500 over to my YouTube. And I'm just like echoing the same thing. I'm building a new audience in tandem on another platform. And then I'm doing that as my new broadcast channel. Then I have feed channels coming from Facebook, Threads, TikTok, Instagram, pushing to that YouTube channel, right? Cool. And then both of those, the LinkedIn and the YouTube, are pushing to a newsletter, a high-value newsletter. Now I own that audience. So
yeah, I thought you were going to get to the newsletter. And so really you're saying once you own the contact and you're able to get to them on your own terms, you're not beholden to the social media giants anymore.
Correct. And the newsletter is just a cookie to get people to give you your email. And then keep them engaged, keep them checked in.
I'll tell you one thing I haven't done is newsletter. And every time I hear the advice, I'm like, then I would have to write the newsletter. And I maybe people might look at this and say, well, it's me, but I've got 7 podcast recordings this week. I've done 20 something over the last 2 weeks. I love it. I love showing up. I love meeting the people. Descript does a great job of just auto multicam editing for me. I'll clean up the intro. Boom. My thumbnail guy works on the thumbnail twice a week. I love this. With the moment everyone says newsletter, I'm like, oh, all right, I know. If LinkedIn's gone, I lose it. If YouTube's gone, I lose it. I don't want to write it. So what do you do for those
You're already
people?
writing it.
Oh, dude.
You're writing it right now. You're writing it right now.
That's a great point.
Your newsletter doesn't have to be long form, deep thoughts talking about your like crazy epiphanies. Like your newsletter can actually be just breaking down your episodes this week.
That's so good.
Probably use Descript and other things.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
Generate
it writes blog posts for you.
each episode, and then yourself authentically write like a paragraph. Or whenever something bad happened or like something messes up, be like, this podcast was great, but there was an A-rated sign. This podcast was great, but today I learned to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. Check it out.
Take the Bluetooth off my freaking phone. Yeah.
Just that,
Dang, Colin, you just made me another $1 million. I'm going to owe you a commission here. Well, but you know what? The other day, because I've done content, I see through some of the steps, the repurposing, and I try to never be a hater. But this one girl's YouTube video was very insightful on something on LinkedIn. I was watching it. Her name is Deandra. I apologize for not remembering the last name. That might be enough for some people. Then I saw this great post on LinkedIn, and I started reading the copy. I'm like, that was the opening hook on your video, like word for word. And so then I realized, oh, okay, she's repurposing. And instantly I felt like butthurt. But then also I was like, no, that's genius. So
remember when I said squeeze that lemon?
Yes.
If you're spending your time and your energy as a high value creator, founder, business owner, if you're showing up and spending your time and your bandwidth to make something unique, and you just put it out into the world, repurpose that as much as you can. Like the Alex Hermosi Mint story, like you're spending the time, you're making this beautiful podcast. You're short forming it, right?
You know what's funny? You can judge me. Because I publish twice a week now, and I guess what I'm about to say is I only do one short vertical per guest at this point because I'm so busy doing everything else, and also like this doesn't really pay the bills yet. So I am still a revenue operations person, and so that being said, some of these
on the table, man. You're leaving views on the table.
100%. Some of these people have big followings. I've come back and I've created more of the verticals for them. And one of them published them today without me even knowing. So it was just a reminder, like, get these creators. It's a value add for them, too, is the way I look at it. It's like, even if I don't post it. So, no, I see that as a big gap. In this co-work, there are lots of social media people. I've expressed that to them. I was like, man, I will pay for, like, repurposing. And I think that's what it's going to come down to. Eventually, I'm going to have to have a repurposing team.
That's how you reach more people. And it's not cheap. It's not a trick. It's not sleazy. What you're doing is you're taking, people absorb content in different ways. Like my sister loves listening to podcasts while she works. You will never catch me doing that shit.
Yeah. But
I will binge read 2,000 words real quick.
So good.
I'll do that. So if someone just does audio podcasts, they'll never reach me. But I ingest long-form video podcasts, and I can discover those long-form video podcasts by, I promise you, I watch more short-form reels than most people, right?
Yeah, I agree.
And then
also,
this is my favorite part about short-form content, is if you do it at scale, you get data. And if you're taking your short-form content, if you're posting, let's say, 60 short-form videos across 3 platforms, right? So 180 short-form videos that you're posting. You get data from all of those across all platforms, across different audiences. Find a winner from there. Be like, wow, this reel performed really well on all 3 platforms. I just wrote my newsletter. Because that's proven content. That content's validated good. And if I didn't use it for my newsletter, I'm definitely going to take that short-form video, put it on LinkedIn, and then I'm going to turn that short-form video into a thought, like a little thought piece or something like that. I'm going to schedule that post for next month on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I'm so conscious of it. Again, it's not even me saying I'm naive. I know it's a huge gap. Another thing that I'm guilty of is I actually like some people's podcasts, but unless I've consumed you through some other way, I'm very unlikely to click on your 1 hour and 30-minute video.
Yeah, so they haven't earned the right.
That's right. I know that in these videos that I do with people, there are little 2-minute, 5-minute gold pieces, and because almost at this point for me, getting clips is easy. Like that is there, here's a hook. Let's make it sensible. Let's make it visually appealing. Boom. But even more than that, I love these little 2-minute, 5-minute, quick little mini masterminds that you get in some of these things, and I almost see this as a disservice that I'm doing to the guest because he or she will never be heard because I'll have not gotten that little 5-minute piece out as its own little separate thing. That's a lot to chew on. That's good. I appreciate that.
I like to. I really like working with people that have podcasts because a lot of them, like you know, they're busy people. They put it out there into the world, and I say if you build a machine, a distribution machine behind your podcast, and then you start getting real solid KPIs and metrics to show this, each episode gets me this many impressions across this many platforms, it segments to this audience, and it averages me this result, right?
Yes.
You can take those, put it in a media kit, and then all of a sudden there's value in your chair. The chair that I'm in right now, you could have told me, hey, if you have time, get on my podcast, it'd be really fun. And I say cool, because my sister said Chad T's super cool. So I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm down, right? But if someone's very busy and you're like, hey, get on my chair, get on my podcast, it'd be really cool, you will get an average of 500,000 impressions over the next 6 months.
For sure.
Across these channels. Then they're going to be like, oh, if I do any marketing myself, you know, my CPM, I know what my CPM is, 500,000 impressions, that would save me $7,500.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I'll save $7,500 to be on your podcast. Sure.
Yep. No, I totally agree.
Hard numbers.
I've taken some swings and misses at niches. Like I'll be full disclosure. I've got a YouTube channel that I left up because like I want to look back on it 10 years later. It was all in dating, and I was like, it's about as cringe as it could get. It was good content, but I just was like, I don't want this to be my legacy. But my point is, I knew, let's lean into this and see what happens. I know what the early indicators are, and this one so rapidly took off as far as a guest trying to get on me. Like I have more inbound guest requests than I actually do on outbound. I spend my outbound time like really picking people I want to talk to. And I was like, oh shoot, I'm on to something here. Like I hit a little vein. Let's get in there. And all that to say, I know I need to get serious about some of the little supplemental stuff, like the vertical is getting more stuff out there. But I'm trying to get the data, and I'm about 30 days into it now. And again, the guest response so big that I instantly went to publishing twice a week. And if it keeps picking up, I might go to 3 times a week. But we'll see how that goes. What's that?
It could end up being the business.
That's the goal here.
A lot of people accidentally build businesses all the time. I do want to talk about the value of the data from short forming. Yes, the views are cool. Yes, the followers are cool. But I do short form for data and for validation of ideas. For example, you were asking me, like, what am I doing on LinkedIn? Like, am I just fucking around? Am I playing? Do I have a strategy behind it? The answer is yes to all 3. So I hopped on LinkedIn in July, right? A year before that, I thought LinkedIn was where people just posted their resume until I moved down to Mexico City and I saw my sister. I was like, oh, she's like a LinkedIn influencer. This is a thing. I'm hopping on this. And I started looking and realized it is poised to be the next melt your face speed growing platform. Which is funny to me because there's a lot of people that are selling LinkedIn growth and they don't realize that they're growing despite their actions, not because of their actions. They're just growing. Good. The platform is growing and they're growing with it.
Yeah.
And they're like, buy my course, do what I'm doing. And I'm like, you're just growing with the speed of the platform. You're not outpacing platform growth.
That's so good.
Alternatively, everyone's saying their impressions are down across the board, right? Yes, because now there's more people posting.
Yep.
If the audience is growing 10% year over year, but the post volume is increasing 50% year over year, there's going to be less impressions. If the dwell time, if the average dwell time stays the same, there's going to be less impressions to go around. So if your impressions are going down and the audience is going up, that means that you are not growing faster than the platform.
That's right.
And you shouldn't be telling people how to do it.
Well, you shouldn't be selling a course. But,
Shouldn't be selling a course. I'm not going to tell someone they shouldn't sell a course. See, you should sell, if you want to sell a course, and the market will decide if it's good or not.
Yeah, that's a great point.
You'll either go broke, get embarrassed, or get rich. Like, you'll figure it out one way or another. So when I hopped on LinkedIn, I did a push for the first month. I posted every day on every platform for 30 days, including YouTube long form as well. So I ended up posting over 1,000 times in 1 month. And I got some impressions. It didn't go crazy viral. I think I got like 300,000-400,000 impressions. These were all fresh accounts too. So I made a brand new account with 0 across all, and I got like 300,000-400,000 impressions or something. I grew some audience in all of them, but that like wasn't the goal or the point. I was able to take all of that data and then find out what audience I have, and then also like what am I going to speak about, because I was trying all sorts of different things. And then took a break from that for about a month, and then came back, and I'm like, cool, now I kind of know where to start.
Yeah.
And that was the value there, is getting all the data from 1,000 posts.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I used to, I'm pretty, what's the word? I'm knowledgeable and good at pay-per-click, especially Meta. And I used to tell business owners, I remember an instance with a startup, he and the VP of sales were arguing about a headline. And I'm like, you can literally just put $50 on this on Facebook, and you'll know in an hour or two, like which headline's better. Like, let's do it. That was before Shorts, right? Now you are in a world in YouTube, LinkedIn. You can't really. I don't know your opinion on this, but I've noticed it doesn't do well with posting multiple times per day. But I see you posting a lot. Let's come back to that question. But for sure, on YouTube Shorts, you could post every hour, multiple times per hour. You'll get similar data. I didn't see, my number was 12. If I posted more than 12 in a day, I noticed that the view time seemed to be throttled some. My point is, you can take that content, use different hooks on similar content, and you'll get instant, drastic differences in data. Also, what I love about YouTube Shorts is just another creator. I gave her a bad title up front. And I wish I had a more concrete way of explaining why or how to do this, but I sort of know within an hour. I'm like, that title is not performing well, and then I'll go in and tweak it. And instant uptick in views. So the systems are very generous. Like, they want to keep viewers on their system, and they're going to enable you to like try to get the viewers to stay longer. But in that exercise, I knew what keyword to tell her to use on LinkedIn when she ran the same video on LinkedIn. It took off when I used the words AI slop, and I was like, there you go. Like this I tested 3 titles here. This one crushed it. So my point to the business owners is, verticals, besides the fact you have to record and do some work, like that's free. You're not even paying for the impressions. What else? I want to come back to the account audits where you can, or find a way to speak strategically, because I'm trying to ask you, like, all right, where does someone start? The obvious answer is, well, we need to know, like, we need to do an audit. But what kind of questions do you ask an entrepreneur when he or she comes to you to even determine what you might want to do with them or what they should be doing in the first place? Like, what are big picture questions then, if you have those?
I like working with people that are either already dipping into multi-platform content or are very interested in doing so. I'm not super into convincing people otherwise.
No, I'm tracking. That's great.
And yeah, that's probably the biggest thing, is someone who sees the vision, someone who is ready to do it, and they just don't know how. And I think that goes back to the content strategy. Like, when I'm creating content, my goal is to convince people that they do need to do this, like with my free content, with how I communicate, and get them to the point where they see why I really need to do this, and then give them enough information to go try doing it on their own. And they try doing it on their own, and they see some success because it's good advice, and they're like, wow, this is actually working. This has helped me, and I'm feeling good about this, and now I'm ready to go to the next level.
That's interesting. I've helped a lot of people for free over the last 2 years because I don't consider myself a content guy. It is clear to me I have a skill and it supports my end goals.
You're a content creator.
Yeah, 100%. I don't disagree with you on that, but like there are people here in my town that will sell you 500 vertical videos for like $500, like they'll meet you out there with the little ZV-10 or whatever. So in helping people free though, I would get truly frustrated because they would always come to me. I wasn't begging them, and they would say, "Hey, what are you doing with these videos?" And I would kind of post gear tips and whatever sometimes on those separate channels, and then they'd say, "Well, I want to do this," and I'll use a janky example. Like this lady in her 50s, she just got into this what do you call it? Multi-level marketing. It's like one of those makeup things, and she just wanted to use them and show them to her lady friends, and she'd get a little money for everything they bought. And I forget, we'll call her Suzanne. I was like, "Suzanne, this is genius. Like, you got a little living room. We could set you up. Got a nice light here. Let's just get you some good verticals. If you using it, here's how it works. Hook story offer or whatever." And her and 6 other people, they're like, "Oh yeah, that sounds great." And then push comes to shove, and they find an excuse, and the weather's too cold this week, and my dog's sick, and it's amazing how many things come up. And I just stopped, and I guess I'm telling that story because there's a guy coming back to meet me today in an hour, and he does real estate. I know if you apply yourself to content, you'll make money, but people routinely don't. So it's striking a chord in me when you say, I don't really want to work with people that aren't already trying to like lean into multi-channel. I feel that way now. If I were to try to sell this as a side hustle, I would only look at people who are already trying this on 3 different platforms, I think, because they're problem aware. They've put in the effort to try to get somewhere down the road, and also they recognize the value in someone that can come and do what I do in like 30 minutes to an hour. How do you separate them out? How do you find them? How do you decide then even that's the right ideal client right there?
I just look at what they're doing. The digital footprint tells everything.
Yeah.
Someone can talk all they want about how they want to do this video and they want to do this project and they want to start a podcast, but there is no barrier anymore. Like, you can post like if I decided today I want to start a new podcast about my dog, like I could get something about YouTube in an hour. It would take me 30 minutes to film it. Like, there's no excuse.
Yeah, 100%.
There's no friction that is so much that's stopping you from actually doing it. So I like to find someone that's actually doing it. It doesn't matter if they're doing it great. It doesn't matter if they're doing it a lot. It doesn't matter if they're doing it the best. If they're doing it the best, they don't need me.
Yeah.
I just want someone who's excited about doing it and fucks with the vision.
Yeah. Could you maybe talk about the transformation then? Or is it okay if we use the same creator that left you that review?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I guess what I'm getting at here is you mentioned some very interesting things that to me at least revealed your desires for her on the other side of the transformation, or the things that you think are important. And so I'm reading her tagline. It's very unique. What would you say? Point of view. Very polarizing is the right word, and it's her. So what was she before? And you don't have to like put her on blast and everything, but when you looked at her case, her name is Megan Miziak, and I've interacted with her also some on content. She's a sales coach technically, but that's not how she leads her branding, right? So what did you see in that, and then what were some of the big takeaways where you thought, look, listen, you got to come at this and be real and like be yourself, and this is how you stand out?
She's a sales coach, but she's a sales burnout coach. So
a sales what coach?
Sales burnout coach.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's not like this is how to, crush your quota and dominate and annihilate the opposition. And
tracking.
This isn't how to work 15 hours a day. This is how to live with yourself with working, right? So
I think my point in though is her LinkedIn doesn't say, "Hi, I'm Megan. I teach you how to not burn out from sales." It's like she's coming at it she's a very unique person. And then you're like, oh, I like her, and she does this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's selling herself first. She's selling her personality, and she's getting people that like her. And she's being polarizing too, because there's a lot of people that don't like her. Like, people see Meg. Sure. People see Meg, they'll see her profile picture, they'll see her tagline, they'll see her content, and they're going to dismiss her immediately and be like, this person is so annoying. They're talking about the most stupid stuff, drinking matcha all the time. She's dyeing her hair. She looks like
That's
some
right.
weird, like some weirdo or something like that. And she's talking about not working hard, right?
I just saw
Unfollow.
at the end she calls herself a LinkedIn lunatic.
Yeah, LinkedIn lunatic and a sales witch and all this
Yeah.
woo-woo wee-wah stuff that's
Yeah.
like all this fugazi made up, and they're just like, I hate her, blocked, right? And then she's
Right.
like, oh my God, thank you, because if we worked together,
Yes.
we wouldn't have meshed.
Yeah.
Or if I hopped on like a discovery call with you, we both would have known in the first 15 minutes that you don't
Yeah.
want what I'm selling. So,
Yeah.
and the people that do follow her and do sign up and do engage with the content align with her so much more. It's kind of like the whole thing, if you try to sell to everyone, you sell to nobody, right?
That's right.
She's segmenting her audience. She's segmenting her audience and then doing ICP discovery with her content passively.
Yeah, but how did you help her find some of that? Or did she come to you with these ideas and you're like, that's great, let it rip?
A little bit of both. But yeah, I did say dye your hair purple. Pick a color, pick a visual anchor color, a brand color. People talk about brand kits, but let's go a little bit further. Get a mood board. Let's go a little bit further. Let's just go as far as we can, because you can dial it back later. And my favorite thing that we were doing, and her least favorite thing, I think if she watches this, she'll say the same thing, is we got on TikTok, we got on Instagram, we made videos. We made a lot of videos. She was doing a couple videos a day for a month.
Wow.
And they were just really short yaps. They were one shots. They were text over screen, stuff like that. I made her go outside and do it, record this walking and talking on the street. And she hated it. And then when we were done, she's like, I'm not doing video ever again. This sucks. This is terrible. But then guess what happened? 6 months later, she's like, now my personal brand has grown to the point where I can now expand to other forms of media. And thank you so much, Colin, because now I just realized I pressed record and I know what to do. Now I'm a creator because I went through the reps, and then she learned to make videos, to make content. So when the time came that she realized it was a necessity for her to hop on and start doing video, now she's ready.
She's I don't even want to say she's unique or extreme, but if somebody else was sitting in front of you, I was like, well, Colin, how do I discover a unique position for myself? Are there guiding questions or practices or exercise that you like to lead some of these people through?
Yeah, absolutely. And, just talking to someone, you can pick out things that we can amplify. Because, let's go back to Meg for a second. She's not that weird. She's not that wild. She's not that crazy. We're just front-facing some things. We're amplifying some things that help segment the audience that also help attract people as well, like little magnets. We've got to find someone's strengths. There's no cookie cutter, one size fit all for anyone. Find someone's strengths, find parts of their personality. People say, be authentic, be yourself, show up authentically, all of these things. But you don't want to show up totally as yourself. One, it takes a lot of strength to show up and be completely transparent online. Two, if you show up trying to build a new audience and try to get people to trust you, being completely transparent online, that would be like going back to your dating thing, showing up on a first date and just brain dumping everything about you on day one. The person's gonna be across the side
bad
of the
dating
table,
advice.
and they're gonna be so pick 3 things, right? I like to paddleboard, I have a dog, I work in tech.
Yeah.
I make carbonara,
That's good.
Just add a couple.
I was going through a corporate exercise. The company's called Tough Skills, actually, which is a great little company out there. And they try to help you with the intro. And, because everyone, at least in my space, my name's Chad. I've been in revenue operations for 20 years. I've worked with big names like Rubrik and Webroot and 40 million to 700 million. And just right off the bat, it's like, oh my God, another freaking, 70 million, largest deal you ever sit on was 23. And then it's like, this one girl was going through hers, that you want a memorable thing at the end of it. And she was like, and I got rejected from the tennis team at Yale or something. And I was like, whoa, all of a sudden I just remembered her. And I didn't even need to know her name. And I was like, oh, tennis girl, right? So I actually have been trying to think more about that recently.
You learned a lot.
Because first off, nobody knows. Say it again.
You learned a lot about her from that. You learned that she likes sports.
You did.
You learned that she went to Yale. You learned that she's not that good at sports.
Yeah. Just brilliant.
Yeah.
And it was way better than the 5-minute dribble I had about 40 million to 700 million, And I'm willing to be ruthlessly self-aware about those things. So, but I think a lot about what is that? The question I've put to myself is like, what is your tennis statement, And I think it's hard for some people to find it. Because you get real generic. Oh, I'm a dad. I'm married. Boring. It's all still boring, It's like
X3.
Yeah. So, I don't know. So maybe if someone's faced with that, how do you help them 3 deep or dig deep and say, what else? Like get us something more usable. Don't be authentic, but don't be boring. Like, what are other ways to say this is interesting about you? For example, Meg, cats and matcha. I don't know why, but I get it. It combines. I'm like, oh, huh. Maybe it's the matcha that does it.
Tells us a lot.
Like, how do you pull some of that out of someone?
Well, the first thing I would say is don't be scared to try something. Don't be scared to see how you're perceived, because just like with her, if you say something that people don't like, but it's true and about you, then you're getting rid of people, right?
It feels better sometimes.
Yeah, it really does. Otherwise, you're stuck not being yourself, so you can make everyone in the room happy. And worst possibility is you're stuck not being yourself, so you can take money from people. And that doesn't feel good, right? If you think about it that way, it shouldn't feel good. But a lot of people are doing that. They're showing up to work, they're showing up to businesses, and they're acting a certain way so they can close those deals. And I'm like, you're just lying for revenue. So you might not think of yourself as a used car salesman, but you kind of are in that situation. Did you see my tagline? It's a pretty funny one.
Yeah. I did actually. I couldn't figure out a way to bring it up in the show, so let's do it now. Horses don't stop; they keep going. And I just wanted to know, like, what does it do for you? And tell us about that then. I don't even want to lead that one.
I get 5 inbound DMs a week from that tagline.
Okay, that right there just sold me.
From people I don't know outside my network that follow me, send a connection request. And
what does it mean to you? Okay, I'm going to ask this surface level. I mean it non-disparagingly. Did you look at that and you're like, that's catchy, that opens a curiosity loop, might work, I'm going to try it, and the data worked out, so you kept it? Or does it mean something to you and you put it on there and there's a story behind it?
It has to be both.
Okay. Fair. That's a fair answer.
Yeah. If it's just something that I know is going to get engagement, but it doesn't align with me, that would be like me talking about pancakes versus waffles. I really don't give a fuck, but it's going to get a lot of impressions. So I wouldn't do that. I'm really into deep meme internet culture. That's an internet meme that's proven viral over the past, 15 years or something like that. There's a guy that flew to Spain to get a back tattoo, and his entire back. There's horses.
Okay, so someone in the know would have recognized it right away.
Wild horses on the back. Yeah, there's a rapper, Young Thug. He was just at Coachella, and he's got a song where the first line is, "Hustlers don't stop, they keep going." But this was before Rap Genius, and people heard it as horses. It really sounds like horses. And it's true, because horses, if startled, their flight response, they will run for half a mile before they turn around and analyze if they need to keep going.
Yeah.
And a horse that's trained running under the power of a rider will run until their heart stops if they're instructed to. So like a horse, it's just almost more accurate than hustlers don't stop, they keep going.
Yes.
So it's been proven viral across all social media platforms, Reddit, all these things for so long. I knew that there's something about this line that catches people's eye.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put that on there. And it's also a motivational statement. Perfect for the hustle, humble brag culture of LinkedIn, right? Where people are just like throwing platitudes around like ARR. So I was like, that aligns right there. And it's also a curiosity gap, right? Yep. And then also slides right into my ethos. Like,
I have a strange esoteric side to me, that like pops out. And so there was something deeper in it. And I was not in the loop on the meme, but I just read it. And I'm like, this is telling me a lot about the character of a man, but it's more than like I work hard. It's like there was a lot there that was going through the head that you could probably write a whole 2,000 word essay on it. It's like, is it tongue in cheek? It's probably serious at the same time. There's visions of watering hole and passing watering holes, and man's relationship with horses, and horses that are well maintained, and horses that have worked too hard, horses that are loving working it, and horses that have no choice. I was like, so I don't know. That's pretty fascinating to me.
And you also
you
also got to remember, like, when you get something delivered to you like that, and you put it up and it works, like, you don't look a gift horse in the mouth. You
yes.
just go with it.
Yeah, I guess that's why when I first saw it, I was like, what is this doing for your business? And you answered that. Yeah, you answered it. Well, I knew from your content that you weren't doing something by accident. Yeah, that's fascinating to me. I guess my only question would be like, would you coach anyone into finding a line like that? Like, is that just gold that you stumbled on because you've been doing it for decades now? Or can you look at someone and say, hey, here's a little introspective way to like really find something that hooks well? Is it like systematic? All right. You want to share any of that?
There's totally the second one. You have a conversation with the person. So I have a conversation with you. I would, after this call, I could probably hop on your LinkedIn, any other social media drips that you have, just have talking to you for a while, and we can come up with some options. Or sometimes it just comes to me like a joke, But anything that we come up with in the next 24 hours is going to be better than 3x exit from
for sure
figure companies, ex-Harvard, whatever.
Well, that's so funny because I was also going to say I recognize the need for some amount of social proof. Well, the last little pipe on yours is viral chow chow owner, right? That's slick, that's subtle, and it's deep because there is social proof in being a viral chow chow owner.
Yeah.
And so again, is that thought out?
Yeah.
Look at that. That's beautiful. That's a legit chow chow too. That's like the full size chow chow.
He's an absolute unit.
Yeah.
Good boy. Go play.
Do you know what I mean though? Like it supports your claim. Not that I understand your whole model, but so eventually you position yourself as your strategist and social wizard here, and then there's social proof immediately after that. Viral chow chow owner.
I have a wizard tattoo right here.
Yeah.
To grow an audience on a social media platform, people, you've heard people on LinkedIn talk about how comments are so important, right?
Yeah.
They're like, I get more impressions with comments than I do with my post, right? I'm like, well, cool, you got impressions with your comments. You got 50,000 people that viewed your comment. That means 50,000 people viewed your name, your profile picture, and your tagline. How can you take those three elements and turn those views into conversions to follows or profile visits? Now, the goal is probably profile visits because the profile is where you then convince the person to follow you, right? Like, why are we going to use the comment as a hook to grab someone's attention? And then we want to have those three elements. We have the opportunity with those three elements to try to get someone, to inspire them, to bait them to click the profile. Once we click the profile, that's where we sell them on the long form, right? We sell them the long form, they scroll down, they look at our featured, there's some value in the featured, and they're like, okay, this featured looks good enough for me to maybe read their about, like read their bio, what they do. But at some point you want to then be like, okay, now I want this person to follow me, or I want this person to send a connection request, I want this person to DM, right?
Yeah.
So don't ignore the profile picture. Don't ignore the tagline. And if someone makes a really funny comment or a really insightful comment on someone else's post, them saying that they're an ex-Harvard grad or they, made $750 million in pipeline isn't going to make me be like, oh, I'm totally going to follow them. Isn't going to make me, I'm totally going to DM them, right?
Yeah, every time I go through these exercises with anyone slightly knowledgeable on it, my takeaway is always like, my crap is so boring. It's like, and and I want to say this is an authentic take on it on my part too. I believe that the audience deserves better. And I don't even mean like you guys sat down to watch a movie. What I mean is you trusted me with your time. You trusted me with your attention. You trusted me to introduce a guest worth talking to. And if I can't, here's another thing. I value hooks so much because like sometimes guests say something absolutely genius. And if I botch your first 30 seconds of that video, the world will never see that video, which again, I don't think that I'm like the bee's knees and like I'm the only thing that gets these names out there, but I just feel the weight of like, you owe it to the audience to do it right. You owe it to the guests to do it right. So yeah, I hate going back to the drawing board and some of these profiles and be like, well, that sucks. let's go find something different for it.
That's good.
Is there anything we didn't cover today that you wanted to cover?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I feel like we had a really nice conversation. It was fun.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. Tell the audience where they can find you, who you love to help, how you'd like to help them, and how they can get a hold of you.
Yeah, I think the best thing for this audience is to find me on LinkedIn. And I love to help anyone that's pretty much in your position, that is doing the work, that has a passion for it, that is excited to be a leader moving forward. And, you know, as this attention economy grows and more people start to trickle in from the B2B world and realize they have to hop on, if you already established, like you, for example, that has this huge evergreen media base and already have your production system set up and your content is already in place, and 5 years from now, someone hops on so they can hop on and do what you're doing, all of a sudden you're not their competition, you're their blueprint. So I want to work with people that are excited to be the blueprint for their industry instead of anything else.
That's good, man. Appreciate you, Colin. If you guys made it this far, if you like this episode, I want you to like and subscribe for me. I'll see you in the next one.
Hit that like button.
1 second.